Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, and welcome to New Life Live. Oh, we're getting close. December the 22nd. Now, if you haven't purchased your presents, forget it. They're not going to like what you get anyway at this late date. So just go ahead and give the money to New Life, and we'll send a thank you note. Anyway, that's just an idea. But hey, it is time. You could still get somebody that great, wonderful gift. And we have things you could give them. We carry one of Jim Burns' books. Oh, there's Jim now. He's with us doing Life with Your Adult Children. It's a great one. There's Jill Hubbard and one of her books, Forgiving Our Fathers and Mothers. Boy, is that ever a great book. To give that to your children is really a smart thing. It helps them to figure out how to forgive you. Now, we do just the opposite. You know, we hold a grudge against our mom and dad, teaching our children exactly how to hold a grudge against us. Anyway, a lot of ideas that we have here for a gift, but here's a great idea. I'll say hi to Jill and Jim. That's a great idea.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
And then
Hi, Jim.
I'd like them to talk about, the song says, all is calm, all is bright. But actually in a lot of homes this Christmas, it will be all is chaos, all is black. And so what do you do when it's just not very comfortable to be there? What's the best strategy? What do you think?
Well, you know what? We just had a party for our family, and instead of making a long party, we made it a short party. And you know what, Steve? It worked. Because, I've got alcoholism in my family and and whatnot, and so nobody was there long enough to actually get too drunk. And you know what? We said this was great. So we loved on each other, and we had boundaries on how long the time was going to be, and we said goodbye and gave hugs, and we moved on. I think you can do some things when you understand your family system, if it's, like you said, kind of dark. Keep it short. Keep it simple.
So the perfect party might be a 20-minute get-together, hold hands, sing feelings, and out the door. There it is.
Exactly.
Jill, what do you think could happen? Everything's the same. It's not good. Everybody's unhappy. What do you do?
Well, I think we only can control ourselves. Yeah. And so I think we have to work on our attitude, our expectations, and do what creates calm in us, and then surrender what you don't have control of. Over and hold it loosely, right?
Yeah,
and we do just the opposite. We think this year, if I try really, really hard, I will change Uncle Ned, who hasn't changed in 54 years. But we think, finally we'll figure it out. Right. I'll tell you, there is nothing. Well, Bill W. has a great quote: "Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today." And you can try to disprove that. I have tried to, but it's true. And coming and accepting old Uncle Ned, with whatever Uncle Ned is, can be a lot more effective than trying to change someone that has absolutely no desire or insight of what to change. So accepting people and accepting the reality of that holiday event. And then, like Jim, get them in, get them out. And just shorter time might work.
And say the serenity prayer several times.
Many
I can change, but courage to allow them to be the same.
Yeah. So if you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000, but also 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you can help us, it's getting to be the end of the year, and everything we're going to do next year depends on this year-end giving. We have a matching fund, $200,000 matching dollars. So you can double that gift. And you can do that by calling us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text the word MATCH to 28950. 28950. We'll be back right after this for New Life Live.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Hi, I'm Stacy Sadler-Smith, and I love New Life Ministries. I probably got introduced to New Life over 15 years ago when I was struggling with things in my own life. And one of my friends told me to listen to New Life Live. Pretty soon I was reading books that people involved with New Life had written. I was understanding boundaries and what healthy relationships were like. And I moved from being a really codependent, victim-y type person to an empowered woman through what I was learning. I made it a part of what I do to give to New Life. And part of my heart of giving to the ministry is so that as many people can get help as possible. This is so important to me because it feels like the only thing I can do to express gratitude to God for what he's done in my life is to give back and make sure that more and more people get what I got from New Life.
Well, I love Stacy, and I really appreciate that, and she's one of the more brilliant people in the world, but she is on our board. She's part of the board of directors, and I'll tell you why. I was at one of our conferences, and we were just sitting around, everybody was talking, and I kind of had a bad attitude. And it was obvious I had a bad attitude that day. I don't usually have a bad attitude. Well, the next day, I get a call from Stacy. She was a therapist at the event, and she said, "So what's going on with you?" I go, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, you obviously have a really bad attitude, and I just wanted to let you know it was obvious and might be good for the leader of New Life to know that, it was obvious she had a bad attitude." So I thought to myself, if she can tell me the truth about myself like that, we ought to put her on the board, because when you run something, it's hard to find people that'll tell you the truth about yourself. Now, many of you might be thinking, boy, if I knew you, I'd tell you the truth about you. But anyway, what a valuable board member she is. And she's just like so many of our therapists, strong, wise, and willing to take a risk to help somebody. So that's Stacy, and I am so grateful for her. Just thinking about that, there might be somebody you need to tell the truth to. That you've maybe, by being silent, you've enabled them to continue to have a bad attitude or whatever it is. Maybe it's time to do what Stacy did. And in doing it, you don't have somebody that's defensive. You have somebody that says, I think she's right. I need to work on that a little bit. All right, let's go to Mary, Columbia, South Carolina, listening on Sirius XM. Hi there. How are you, Mary?
Yes. Good afternoon. How's everyone?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I can say that I'm doing pretty well, and Jim looks good. Yeah. Jill looks good, too. But how about you? How can we help?
Well, I'm blessed, but the opportunity was that whenever I heard New Life conversations today, it brought me to a point that maybe I could call, get some insight. I'm planning, we're going through something that none of us have ever had in our family. I have twin boys that are 40 years of age, and both of them are married. The one son that I'm calling in reference to help and assistance is his life has been turned upside down for the last 12 years. he has just taken it from Mother's Day to now to say he's ready to walk away from the marriage. And there are 3 children involved, ages 11, 8, and 2. And this is an uncharted territory that my husband and I, and we are very close as a family of 4 and have grown with daughter-in-laws and children, a total of 6 grands. But this is one that's going to be challenging, and I want to handle it with the utmost understanding for their ages and going through things that the mother uses them as a pawn.
Well, let me ask you this, Mary. What is the reason that he wants to walk away? What is that bad that he would just walk away?
She is critical of him and abusive verbally, physically. She comes from a alcoholic mother and father and witnessed that to me in May and had a conversation with me that I had never known about, and said that my son had stepped out on the marriage, which he had not, and come to find out that, we have been talking for years and years, but the idea that our family he's just had enough. And for the safety of the children, he's stepping away and trying to build a family and possibly co-parent, but that's not working out on her end.
Well, hold on just a second. Let me tell you what I'm thinking, first of all, and then I want to hear from Jill and Jim. So she's unhealthy, and he's going to leave his children to be raised by her who's unhealthy. I don't know how bad things are, but for the sake of the children, if as their grandparent, I would be saying to him, hey, wait a second. You're the adult here, and there's got to be a way to make things better in this relationship. And if you walk out on your children and turn them over to full-time parenting from the sick person, it's going to be hard to justify that, and they're going to really wonder, did you really care about us abandoning us to live with this person without you there to intervene or interfere with whatever it is that was unhealthy about her? You see, that doesn't make good sense to me that he would leave his children.
Right. It's a lot more than that, and the fact that she's ADHD and they have tried counseling.
Okay, but just go with me. I know, but just go with me here. There are other things that can be done other than him leave her and leave the kids. I'll just turn it over to Jill and Jim and see where they take this. Jill, what do you think?
Well, Mary, it's a difficult situation, and you love your son, and you see him hurting.
Right.
And so it's very understandable. And when she has all this list of things going on and perhaps isn't taking responsibility for it, but continuing to act on it, then it's very easy to want to take sides and side with your son who's being hurt. But there is that reality, even though you guys see her as critical and problematic, the courts may not see that as enough to warrant that your son gets full custody. And so Steve is exactly right. And if anything, she may get more custody than him. And so you are leaving the kids to fend for themselves, even though he's trying to, set a boundary here and stand up. So I think a lot of thought needs to go into this, because you said for the sake of the children, he's leaving. But it really sounds like for his own sake, he's leaving.
Yeah.
Both.
It does.
Both. And the children are used as a pawn.
Absolutely, they would be.
Even more so once he leaves.
But see, he will have way less control once he leaves.
Jim, your thoughts here. on a
So,
tough
Mary,
situation.
I've got a phrase for you. It's kind of a cool little phrase. Here we are right about Christmas, and I love this phrase. Good thing Christmas is a season and not just a day, because some miracles take time. Do you think there's a chance that they could get help by, say, going to something like an intimacy in marriage, which really does, I mean, miracles happen at those things. Yeah. Is there a chance?
He has been time over time done that. They've had 3 counsels, and one being paid counsel, one being of a church, and then a retreat through the church.
Yeah.
And every time she's not the problem, he is.
Yeah, right.
And she has no fault.
Well, yeah, I understand. So sometimes, and you mentioned, and that's good things that they were willing to do. Sometimes an intensive is different than just having a counseling meeting. Yeah. So you bring,
or a retreat.
Right, exactly. And even a church retreat, which can be great. I love church retreats.
They could be great.
But I wonder if something like the intimacy in marriage, it's an intensive, you're giving it a shot. I mean, this is a few days before Christmas. Maybe this is your Christmas gift to them. And hope and pray for the best.
Maybe you could phrase it as, whether you stay together or not,
right,
you will always be co-parents.
Yeah.
And this
right.
will
help
you in your co-parenting.
No, yeah, right, exactly. So, maybe this is your, I just added, I'm costing you more money for your Christmas. Hopefully you've already got your gifts. The other thing I would say is I'm thinking about those grandkids, and I don't think this is a sidebar, but the way to help those grandkids is through your daughter-in-law. So you'll have to be careful in this, and you'll have to kind of tiptoe through this, because you don't want her so angry at you that even though you're what I hear you doing is siding with your son, that's fine, but make sure that you know that the possibly the way to the grandkids and the influence you can have, because as a grandma, boy, you can have great influence there, is through your daughter-in-law. So somehow keep that relationship intact as much as you can. So you don't want to go, what I'm saying is you don't want to jump in the middle of this mess. It's a mess, and they've created the mess, you didn't. But you want to be the cheerleader and kind of help them through it. Things like offering intimacy in marriage. Things like, can we take the grandkids, during the season and just have a few days of fun with them, or things like that. Maybe that's helpful to you.
Yeah, I think that
we've always done that. Yeah.
Yeah. You've done that before?
We have done and we're the only parents. Her parents are alcoholics, and this is the environment that she came up in, and cussing and being abrupt is her way of working through this, and finding out the ADHD here in later in life, in her adult life here, after having 3 children, it became more prevalent and uncontrollable. Mm-hmm. So she's had to seek out more psychiatric help for that. The things that she's done are abusive towards the children and my son. So it fires up. It makes more sense to get the problem out of her face, because she does not want the divorce.
It doesn't make more sense. It doesn't make more sense for him to leave. I just want to. That is my full-on belief that you have a passive son who needs to, rather than turn and walk away, he needs to engage in a different way. Now, you said she has alcoholic parents. Well, I feel compassion for her. She's trying to survive, and she's picked a very defective survival strategy. It makes her life worse, and it makes everybody's life around her worse. So I just wonder if everybody started to approach her differently and didn't see her as bad, which that's what I hear. Bad mother, bad woman. If they saw her as broken versus bad, maybe there'd be a different response from her, a different reaction from her, because she is broken. I mean, really broken. horribly broken, and these kids are going to grow up broken. And I don't know how you and or your son got to the fact that it would be better for him to not be in the home. But I have to believe that there's a better way of helping those kids, being there and being different than you've ever been before. That's what I'd be saying to him. Hey, you need to talk with a counselor about a different strategy for you that has some compassion, some understanding, and some different phrases to say to engage her on a different track. That to me might hold out some hope for him, her, and the kids. But I'll tell you what I would definitely do before I walked out after this. Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and when Jesus has your heart changes. And often it changes the way we view money. Jesus had dinner with a little guy named Zacchaeus, and all of a sudden, this man obsessed with money wanted to give half of everything he had to the poor, and those he cheated, give them 4 times as much as he had taken. You see, he wasn't worried about giving too much. He was worried about doing the right thing. I don't know of anybody who's ever given too much. As much as we give, we receive right back in blessings. Please help us here at year end.
To make your tax-deductible gift, visit newlife.com and click Donate. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here with Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Jim Burns. And we've been talking about this, and none of us here think that walking out the door when things are so bad, leaving the kids there, it just isn't.
But I
good.
understand the logic, Steve. The logic is
sure.
Then there won't be fighting and there'll be peace in the home.
But you said there
that
will be.
Is not true. There will be actually just as much, if not more, because you still have to interact. And I always say, when you divorce, you get the worst of the person, everything you hate and none of the good, right? And so there still will be the fighting at visitations and back and forth. And so you won't be free of that. But here's the thing, Mary, that I heard you say, that she does not want the divorce. That is leverage and that's workable. And so in looking at, Steve, what you were talking about trying to have compassion for what this woman grew up in, even though her behavior is unacceptable, okay? Yeah. It is unacceptable. But all behavior has meaning. And what is she trying to either reenact, recreate unresolved stuff from her childhood, or is she trying to light a fire under her husband to get him to engage with her? And someone that's critical or abusive, you want to run and hide. It's a normal reaction, but that's really the opposite of what works, because it causes them to engage more and pursue and get bigger to be heard. Really, if you lean in and lean towards them and touch them, they will often calm down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And here's a strategy change that works many times, and it's this. Rather than comment on their behavior or lash out at them in anger and bitterness, you start thinking that, which is a reaction. Like take your life back is helping you go from being reactive to being responsive. So what about this? You tell yourself, I'm not going to say something out of anger, or I'm not going to say something controlling or whatever. I'm going to ask a question. And while this person's doing what they're doing, I'm going to figure out a good question to ask her. And that changes the dynamic. So rather than her tell you bad things and then you tell her bad things, you start to ask a question. And maybe it is even, as we talked about, a compassionate question. What could I do to help? Or what is it that you really want me to hear? Or tell me the thing that's bothering you the most, please. All of a sudden, there's nothing to defend. She's just going to answer the question. Mm-hmm. And whenever we are critical of a very, very broken person, they don't have any choice, really, other than to defend themselves, because they feel like they're almost out of control or don't exist in the mind of many people. And so it isn't usually healthy. But when we start asking some questions that might even show we're wanting to know more about them, or we are feeling compassion for them, it could, over time, those kinds of dynamic changes, over time it could cause something different to take place. That's what I'd want.
And you know, Steve, what you just said was so good. And Mary, I was going to suggest, because I doubt if your son is hearing this program, you can get this program. You can. It turns into a podcast. It's online. It's everywhere, and he probably needs to hear those few moments of what Steve just said, and as well as a million other people. I think that's important. I want to go back to the idea in the short time we have to talk with you is about leverage. Because you said something very important, Jill. You said he has leverage because she doesn't want the divorce. Right. So that means that he's going to have the strength to say, I'm willing to stay under this condition. And and honestly, one of them would be go to an intimacy. We go to an intimacy in marriage. Let God do a breakthrough experience with something like that. But I think sometimes he has to understand he does have some leverage here in terms, but not the you don't do this right or you don't do that right. No, it's something that's deeper and intensive, or trying counseling again or whatever it may be.
Or even him going individually to counseling
to get the tools.
To get the tools to then not personalize her behavior and see that so many women, and this is not a good thing to do, but we try to criticize into health. Yeah. Like we're trying to do corrective criticism. It doesn't really work, but it's an attempt to make things better. So if you can understand that that's some of the motivation, it can take some of the punch out of it.
Yeah. Well, and also, just as she is defective in her living strategy, when we try to control her or fight back at her, our strategy is it's even more defective than hers, because we see what she's doing. She probably doesn't see what she's doing. So, we search for wisdom, and wisdom is often found in a person that's helped hundreds or thousands of people with these kind of conflicts. And when you call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, we try to find that person for you. Many times, the wise thing, and it would be in this case, you get the help from an intensive first. We'll be back right after this.
We all have struggled with weight problems all our lives. This involves not only the health side of it, but the spiritual side of it.
If you're ready to begin a comprehensive plan that provides freedom in every area of your life, New Life's Lose It for Life online intensive can help. This online intensive features Zoom sessions presented by Steve Arterburn and Elena Al-Sharu on Saturday, January 27th, plus 4 small group process sessions facilitated by a credentialed New Life Network counselor.
Of all the things, the best part for me was the small group time.
If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that addresses the psychological, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a healthy lifestyle, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
It is a life change. It is not a diet. It is not just a plan. It is a life change.
1-800-NEWLIFE.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and we sure would love for you to help us if possible. We love getting to talk to folks who are struggling. A little light bulb comes on. They go and get some help, and everything changes forever, for good. And we can't do it without you because it's expensive to be on radio. It's expensive. Everything we do is expensive. So if you could help us, every time somebody does experience a spiritual awakening or transformation, you're part of that. And for 35 years, last month, 35th anniversary, for 35 years, we've been helping people do what a lot of people thought was impossible. They've had people say to them, "You'll never change." And they change. God's mad at you and you're not going to do well. And then they realize God loves them, not mad at them, and they do well. Help us do that. You call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or you can text the word MATCH to 28950, and we'll match that up to $200,000. That's a really wonderful thing, that somebody's provided the money to match whatever gift that you have. 1-800-NEW-LIFE, newlife.com, or send the word MATCH, text the word MATCH to 28950. Well, I was just talking to my wife this morning about John Townsend and the fun we used to have here. And there were some really interesting calls that I took with John, Henry, Jill. It was a lot of fun. And it was also helpful to me because they would say stuff that, of course, I'd go home and try it out because I thought they were amazing and wise. I want to play a call. John and I took this call about sexting. And let's play it right now, Terry.
And let's jump over here and talk to Sharon from San Francisco. Listens on KFAX. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, guys. I'm so grateful that you're taking my call.
Thank you.
You guys are great.
Well, what's going on in your life today that we need to know about?
Okay. Well, maybe my question is a two-part question, so I'm going to start with that.
Okay.
Okay. I need to chill out about this is the first part. And secondly, if you were to go ahead and agree with me that my husband should talk to my 15-year-old son about this, what should he say tonight? So this is a situation. Last summer at a Christian camp, my 15-year-old son met a boy. They really hooked up. And
Hey, by the way, Sharon, are you like in some sort of accounting or structured kind of career?
No,
Are you
not
a teacher?
At all.
You're so. I just love how organized you structured the questions. Really unusual to have somebody to say, "Okay, it's going to be 2 questions. Here's the first part." It's wonderful.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. How can we help you?
You're a good. You're a good mom too.
Well,
Okay. So they met each other.
Well,
Now what's going on?
okay. Well, so they text, and I have been able to find out that this boy, who's in another state, has sent my son a couple of sexual-related, nasty text messages and told my son to pass them on to his friends, and my son has. So last night
And
I
my
found
friend
the
has, or
second
my
one.
son has.
Say that again?
Your son has passed on the nasty email. I mean, Texas.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Okay.
just passed them on.
All right.
So last night I found the second one, and I told my husband about it, and he read it on my son's phone, and he kind of looked at me, and he said, Sharon, this is boy stuff. This is 15-year-old teenage boy stuff, and he was kindly saying you need to chill out. But
He kindly said you needed to. He said you needed to chill out.
He didn't say that, but he very sweetly looked at me like to say, this is boy stuff. This is normal boy stuff.
Okay.
And I need to not get too excited about this.
Okay.
And my thought was, well, maybe this is kind of just the beginning, and it's going to get nastier. And my son is a Christian. We're a Christian family, and I'd like to steer him off this path if it's a bad path, or try to preempt anything that might happen worse in the future. So my husband has agreed to talk to him tonight, but he needs to talk to him in a way that doesn't show our hand that we know about this particular boy sending the nasty messages, and then my son passing them on
Okay.
to his guy friends.
Well, you just happen to be on here with the author of Boundaries with Teens, and so John, what should they do?
I missed the part about why you're not supposed to tell him how you know about the other boy. Why shouldn't you tell him?
Well, I know that a lot of parents feel that they would never pry into their child's drawer, room,
Right. But how did
I went into my son's cell phone looking for improper text messages.
Yeah, why don't you just tell him that?
Because he'll clear them all. He'll.
Yeah, and
I'll have no way of knowing.
Yeah, Sharon, I hate it when parents don't feel permission to be parents. I think kids, for us to say, I'll just run reconnaissance and sneak around, and won't ever tell kids I know stuff. I think that builds deceit upon deceit. Just tell your kid, I love you. We're going to be a great another 3 years with you at 15. I have 2 teenage boys myself. And sometimes we're going to check your room, and sometimes we're going to check your phone. And then if he gets more deceptive and clears it out, then you've got a bigger problem, and you go after that. But don't do this walking on eggshells. Just sit down and say, this is what we do. We love you. We don't want you to get porn in your life and be a sex addict and ruin your life. And husband, you step up to the plate. What is normal? I don't know what this normal thing he's saying is. If he wants to create a 15-year-old sex addict who'll ruin his life by 30, that's not being a good dad. So challenge him on that. So normal is not sometimes okay. There's a difference between normal and spiritual. Say, Dad, be the spiritual dad here. So get in there and do it.
And when he says, you don't trust me, you say, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the problem is?
Yeah, you're just a 15-year-old.
Yeah. So you're helping him develop values, and he sees there's a right and wrong. He's got a mom and dad who love him and want to help him, and you're stopping a problem before it gets too worse. What do you think about that?
Okay. All right. We'll tell him that we've been checking.
No. We're checking, and we'll continue to. Now, if you keep your nose clean and you're an honest kid, we'll check less. But I always told my kids, nothing is off limits. Now, if you mess up, then we're going to check microscopically in your rooms and areas. But if you don't mess up, we're going to check a lot less. So don't mess up, and you get more freedom.
And there really is nothing wrong with what you did at all. So don't apologize.
Well, I feel comfortable with it.
Great. Well, get your husband on board here. Maybe he could listen to the answer to the program. I don't know, but we both got kids. Mine's 17. John's are in college. One of them, and
I got a 17 too.
And we've been dealing with this. My daughter's got a thing on her computer. Every website she goes to, I know what it is, and I checked the phone. And one time when I checked the phone, I found some things I wasn't happy about. She may have saved him 1,000 griefs.
Well, we live in a culture, Steve, that has kind of lost the idea of a parent as an authority.
Yeah,
and a parent is not a best friend, and a parent's not a best buddy. Kids will have a million best friends and buddies. They'll have two moms and dads.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to be the authority because they hate you and they resent you, and like we hate God. But you sign on for that and you make the tough decisions, and then you see the fruit in the kid's life later when they're functioning well and they love God and they're married and all that stuff. So do the hard stuff and be the authority now. You are in a unique position in that child's future.
Yeah. All right. I hope that's helpful. I'm going to send you Boundaries with Teens and Raising Great Kids, both of those by John and Henry, and one just by John, the Boundaries with Teens. I think you'll like it. Anybody else, you can get it at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or newlife.com.
Well, I love that call. And, the proof that it's okay to tell the child you're looking is that if you walk by their phone and the phone message said, I just killed a person, well, you wouldn't say, oh, I don't want to let them know that I saw that. You'd take action. Well, kids that get involved with sexual talk, sexting, and they're killing their future, and intervening with that really is helpful. John said how many years ago that this culture doesn't want parents to be parents or honor that.
So true.
Well, look at what's happened a decade later. It's triple dog as bad as it was back then. And we need to be parents and show that tough love by knowing what our kids are involved with. All right, we'll be back for our final segment here on New Life Live. So glad we had a tape recorder back then. We could record these great messages that still resonate today. And, Jill was the one that told me to listen to John and Henry when they had another program. And then when we got this one, I started using them. We'll be back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. And, Jim, Jill, me, we all raised kids. Mm-hmm. They were kind of the same age at the same time, and we got through all of that. But, Jim, when you were listening to that phone call, what were you thinking, and what relevant advice could you give all of us? Yeah. I still have a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old at home.
Well, for one thing, I really liked the advice. I thought you and John did a great job. My background, of course, is youth ministry from way back. And in fact, I'm going to text John. I owe him a text from this morning. I'm going to text him and say, hey, you were great on New Life today. But I'm going to take it a different approach. As we look at this, every parent's going to freak out when there's sexting and when there's sexual material, and they should. For a 15-year-old, you can also look at it as a gift. Let me clarify that quickly. It's a time now to teach them healthy sexuality. Very few parents talk to their kids about healthy sexuality. So here's your chance. You find porn on a kid's computer or on their phone or whatever, and typically be on their phone anymore. And, so I think what happens is all studies show this, that the more positive, value-centered sex education kids receive from home, from their parents, the less promiscuous and less confused they'll be. So the big thing is take this experience and absolutely have all the conversations that you and John had with this woman. And I think the dad has to step up, and the dad has to say, look, it is somewhat normal that boys are intrigued by this. Now that you've had that experience, let's talk about what healthy sexuality is. And let's actually, she said she was Christian. From a Christian point of view, what does God's word say about this? And God's word isn't just, God's not the great killjoy. He invented sex. He created sexuality. Right. And he sees it as good. So I think it's now a time to teach them some healthy sexuality. And so here you say, hey, because of this, let's go through a book. Let's have this conversation with the dad and the son. Mom can sure join, of course. But let's go through every young man's battle, and we're going to have this conversation. And now what you're doing is you're turning something that could look really dark and bad into something that could be really good, because you're going to have those. Now, are the conversations going to be awkward? Oh, yeah, they're going to be totally awkward, because when a parent has a conversation with their kids about sex, it tends to go awkward. Okay, so be awkward. You're the parent. You're not their best friend.
Well,
that's really good.
And I think the benefit of like this dad in this call taking the more chill approach, and there's kind of a balance between mom and dad, is let's get beyond being shocked and grieved that our child would do something like this, and accept that that's the normal part, and now take it to where you were saying. Now we can really talk, because we're past being horrified.
Yeah, and we are going to be horrified.
Right.
But we also
we have
to understand that today in 2023, the average kid I just Googled this, the average boy will see porn somewhere in the age 10 level, and girls 11. Mm-hmm. So it's a different world. We were never their age. So a lot of us didn't see that then. Some of us did, but a lot of us didn't. So in today's world, that's more a norm. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying take that norm and now turn it into something good.
Right.
I hate it, though, that the dad said this is boy stuff.
Well, right. No, that's too chill.
No.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you. But he's not shocked. That is my point. And so now he can step in and do something about it.
And too many times you hear that, dad, and I hear this from too many dads, boys will be boys.
Yeah, no. That's just a cop-out for them to not do anything.
Right.
And it feeds into the book that will never, ever be a good book. And that would be a book entitled The Effectiveness of Passivity in Parenting. No. The passivity thing, it's huge. It's huge.
It is. And this is where parents should not apologize, like you said, Steve, for being parents and stepping in. Like, you don't have to apologize for disrespecting their privacy. They're not entitled to 100% privacy at their age.
Right.
And that should just be a given from the get-go. And if you establish that early on, that's normal for them.
Well, I think, Jim, you or Rich Van Pelt, when we were traveling together all the time, you were the ones that taught me to say, when a kid says, "Hey, you're invading my privacy," to say, "Yes, we are." And it just is so important that a child knows, I'm the parent, you're the child. When you're in the home, there are certain rights that I have and certain responsibilities you have. And if you're looking for that to be a fair balance, no, it isn't, because, see, you're 11. So it's important that we don't apologize for not being 11.
Even as they get older, it does change. And Jim, you may disagree with this, but I think even when they're in college and you're footing the bill and there's certain things that they don't get 100% privacy. Right. It's more than what they got when they were younger, right? But they don't get 100%.
Right. Yeah, well, and that's
until they're launched.
And that's what we call emerging adulthood or latent adolescence. And so, their brain hasn't fully developed until they're like 25, say 26. Yeah. So with that in mind, the frontal cortex isn't helping them make some of these decisions on sexting or pornography or whatever it is. Right. So sometimes we do have to be careful, especially if we're paying for the bills, if they're living in our house. We can say, here's some boundaries in our home for our home. Now, I'm not going to chase you around for 24 hours a day. No. And you are an adult, yes. However, in our house, here's what we expect. And by having those a lot of times we don't have those conversations with them, and then they're all mad at us. Well, if you have the conversation ahead, what I heard Steve and John say, even in that last call, is if you have the conversations ahead of time, they're not going to be shocked then.
No.
And so have it.
No, they might act shocked, not being aware that that's actually okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what you're not disrespecting
And what I say to parents all the time is, don't have that in the heat of the battle. Have it when you're not in the battle. Hey, here's how we kind of do it here at the house. So just to make sure that you understand that we're on the same page. You don't have to agree with us, but we are your parents, and we are still paying for your cell phone, and we're actually paying for your college, and we're paying, as they're a little older. Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to talk about losing here for a second before we go. And that is losing the weight that is causing you to be defined by your weight before somebody ever gets to know you. We call the state of weightlessness going from that to a person not noticing how much you weigh as the headline of your life. It's called Lose It for Life. It is a weight loss program, but it's also a life gaining program where you learn to live healthy. Nothing in this program is something that you can only do for a little while. Like if you want to lose some weight, don't eat for a week. Well, you can't do that forever, and when you start, you gain it all back. But this small changes that you can do for the rest of your life. And anybody that wants to lose 5 pounds or 50 pounds can benefit. And so we spend a lot of time dealing with the things that lead to us eating things that we don't need to be eating versus eating the things. When we get to the source of it, when we get to what's lying underneath, we have an opportunity to make life easier to live. We look at the fatal excuses that people use. We look at the defective strategies that they have, and we look at the hope that comes when we implement something that actually works. We're going to do this January 27th. We only do it once a year. Lose It for Life. There's a book. There's a workbook. Misty wrote some of the devotional material before we were ever married, and it's really good stuff. Lose It for Life, January 27th. I hope you could join us for that. Jim, Jill, thanks for joining me for this. It really is great to get to be with you. And to all of you, when you need some help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but also you could help us here at year end, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll see you next time. God bless you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video? And please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.